So we decided to do double-blind, placebo-controlled study where we measured ATP levels in people. Participants in this study actually took a snapshot of ATP levels with them. Then they drank 1.5 liters of NLM water per day for 2 months without changing anything else. And after 2 months, we did another snapshot to see what happened with the ATP levels. And what we saw was 20% rise in overall mitochondrial energy of the body. It has profound effects on basically every single system in the body.
You start to peel back what drinking structured water does on a cellular level. Like, what are we expected to notice? Like, if somebody says, okay, I'm going all in on this, I'm going to drink nothing but structured water, what can they expect to experience short-term, mid-term, and long-term?
Thank you for this question, because we never wanted to stay in the woo-woo land. I completely understand that. But that's why we invested so much in independent, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, because this is the golden standard of studies. We wanted to prove, not anecdotally, oh, I feel better. It's like what actually happens on the biological level with people. So the first study that we did, we were actually, since we realized that this water is an electromagnetic phenomenon, we were thinking, okay, what's the most electromagnetic part of human biology that we can very accurately, scientifically measure? And it was our brainwaves. So what we did, we actually did a double-blind study with genetically identical twins. It's a golden standard study. You have two genetically identical individuals, and what works on another must work. One must work on the another. So what we did, we actually put QEEG equipment on their heads. We monitored their brainwave patterns. Doctor administering the water didn't know which one was which, and twins didn't know which one was which. They were just given one glass of water. One was NLM water, and the other one was regular water. So the twin that took a couple of sips of regular water, as you would expect, we saw zero change, literally no movement in brainwave patterns whatsoever. But interestingly, almost as soon, this is really fast, we're talking about minutes, as soon as the twin that took a couple of sips of NLM water, we saw almost instant better connection between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, and almost instant harmonizing effect on the brainwaves. And this was really one of the first powerful proofs that something biologically remarkable happens, and happens very fast. There is this thing called delta coherence that happens in the brainwaves. People usually, when they meditate or they're using psilocybin, they have this delta coherence that start to happen within the brainwaves. We actually repeated the experiments 3 weeks later, and we gave the NLM water now to the other twin. And we saw, again, exactly the same phenomenon, like you copy-pasted, because these guys were genetically identical, while now the first twin received regular water, and the result was zero. So you can't kind of ignore it when you see the data, and it kind of stares you in the eye. And this was really powerful effect, and, brainwaves, and like your entire brain health gets influenced very fast just with drinking the water. This was the first study that we did. So to take one step back, in the beginning, we actually picked up the whole lab from a famous German scientist, Dr. Fritz Albert Popp. And he actually developed this technology, with very delicate technology, which can capture biophotons. So every living system exudes these tiny, tiny particles of light called biophotons. The more biophotons a biological system exudes, more vitality it has. So very early, we actually had a large greenhouse in the Netherlands where we did all the measurements. And it's repeatable 100% of times. When you water the veggies, for instance, tomatoes, we took tomatoes and cucumbers because they have a large content of water. Tomatoes that were grown with NLM water exude between 60 and 200% more light than the tomatoes that were grown with regular water. So this is actual vitality. Why am I saying this? Because we wanted to measure, and we repeated this so many times. So it works on every single vegetable and fruit. But we want to see how would that correlate to humans? What could we measure that would prove the similar effect on humans, because it's very hard to measure a biophoton emissions in people. We're kind of complex and big. These devices are very delicate and small. Then you can actually capture. And we decided to measure ATP, something that you're probably talking on your podcast a lot. Adenosine triphosphate, the primary energy currency of cell, it's directly responsible for powering the majority of cellular processes inside of our body, including muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, biochemical reactions. Basically, every breath, every heartbeat, every cognitive function depends on ATP. So we decided to do double-blind, placebo-controlled study where we measured ATP levels in people. So we deployed luciferase, which is an enzyme that catalyzes light production in bioluminescent organisms. And due to its extraordinary sensitivity, you can very accurately measure ATP levels in humans. So this was the method that we deployed because we wanted to see what actually happens and very accurately measure any changes in ATP. So the participants in this study actually took a snapshot of ATP levels with them. Then they drank 1.5 liters of NLM water per day for 2 months without changing anything else in the world. So they didn't change their exercise regime, their diets. Basically, everything else stayed the same. The only thing they've changed is that they drank NLM water. And after 2 months, we did another snapshot to see what happened with the ATP levels. And what we saw was 20% rise in overall mitochondrial energy of the body over the placebo. When you calculate the placebo in, that's 1/3. And we're not talking about Red Bull energy here. We're talking about actual mitochondrial energy of the body. And it has profound effects on basically every single system in the body. Probably you talked about ATP a lot on your podcast. So, you know, in terms of everybody kind of connects ATP to athletic performance or recovery of less fatigue. But interestingly, what most people aren't aware, probably your listeners are, but like the biggest spender of ATP in our body is our brain. 25% of all of our energy goes just to feed the brain. For one neuron to send a neighboring cell an impulse, it needs to hydrolyze 1 billion of ATP molecules. And we have billions and billions of neurons. So it's a huge, huge spender. With this study, we proved that mitochondrial activity gets improved more than significantly. And scientists now agree that one of the key causes of cellular aging is a decline in mitochondrial function. This has really a lot of implications for health and well-being of humans. And interestingly, when your mitochondrial function increases, the ability of your body to turn fats and sugar, which is our primary fuel, into energy increases exponentially. And that in and of itself, if you don't touch anything else, has profound effects on our health and wellness.
Yeah, I mean, the laundry list would be never ending pretty much as to how all this would benefit everyday habits, routines, activities. That compounded over a lifetime is obviously going to lead to a better quality of life and better longevity. What does this look like in a use case scenario? Like when people, like for you, for instance, we'll just speak anecdotally with regard to you. What do you notice in how you feel and perform when you drink it versus when you don't?
Well, now I'm pretty used to drinking it because I'm drinking it for years now. But I'm a very energetic person. I just kind of...
you seem very energetic.
Yeah. But that's why I like to kind of... I always like to stick to science. But, you know, we're receiving literally thousands and thousands of letters from people all over the planet. The kind of results they're having, wherever I would say your body is being challenged, or it's we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, but this is where kind of when your energy of your body kind of scale moves, the body has more than enough energy now to treat or repair the things that are actually problematic. And this is where people start to see the movement. Most people, almost instantly, I would say 95% of people, which is really interesting. I'm also kind of inviting everyone, if of course you kind of acquire an Alema, the taste test. 95% of people will immediately notice the difference. There is one story that I always like to tell. I've been on Dr. Mindy Peltz's podcast. I love her. She's truly amazing person. Her sister is a very accomplished doctor as well. And she saw Mindy swirling, like you saw your person in your team. She saw Mindy swirling, like, what are you doing? What is this? Kind of, what are you doing now? And she explained to her sister what is happening. And she was like, this is crap. This is woo-woo. This is not happening. And then Mindy invited her, let's do a blind taste test. And 5 times in a row, her sister, super skeptical about it, just pointed to the one that was treated with enema. And she couldn't explain to her. That's why I'm saying we could connect this to the brainwave thing that I mentioned. As soon as you take a couple of sips, you feel it. So does that translate immediately to the taste buds? I'm not sure what's the functional aspect of it, but 95% of people know immediately the difference in taste.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Savage Clip. If you want to see the full blown deep dive, check out the full episode here, and I'll see you there.